Welcome everyone to this week's special edition, Tim Talks. We are so glad that you are here, and we are so excited to announce our guest today. Holly Ann, I just want to make sure that everything is okay. Can you see my video? Okay.
Yes, we can.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I am so excited today to just bring to you, some of the hottest topics, what is happening in our space. We all three, actually, myself, Bob, Sarah Fisher, had the privilege of being at DMSC this past just a week or so ago. And just so you know, Bob Lanham is the head of automotive or auto retail for Facebook, and he had the highest viewed session in DMSC. And then Sarah Fisher, before I do formal introductions, I'll do a quick introduction. And then Sarah Fisher is the CMO and also the president of a CMO of Don Franklin Group in Kentucky, and also she has her own marketing agency, Legit Marketing. Before we dive in, I do have a quick commercial. Most of you guys and gals that know me know that I'm a softie. I'm a pretty emotional guy, but I have a dear friend of mine that I went to high school with, Tracy Donovan Jones. She's hilarious. She's very successful there in Northern Kentucky and on the Rotary Club, and she's got a huge heart. And several times we're talking about Facebook, has posted on Facebook for people that are in need. So that being said, there was a handyman that came to her house, did an amazing work at her house, and was sold a van with faulty brakes, and the van actually ran into a tree. The gentleman is actually in a wheelchair now, although he's doing some jobs because they did save his tools, out of which his wife is disabled. And I'm just reaching out to all my brothers and sisters in automotive right now. We're not asking you to donate it, but if you have a cheap work van, or if you have a cheap work truck that maybe we could try to raise some money or acquire, I'm gonna put a link on my Facebook page. It's a GoFundMe, or reach out to me directly. Most of you have my cell phone number, or tim@carnow.com. And again, I just wanted a quick commercial. Look, it helps when we just pour into people's lives, and all of us on this call are very, very blessed, and it'll give us an opportunity to give back. So with that, listen, there has been so much hype around this Tim Talks. I believe it's going to be one of the most shared Tim Talks that we've ever done, because with marketing budget shrinking, Bob at Facebook has been just instrumental in helping dealers really watch their budgets and just do some amazing thing. And then Sarah Fisher, it might as well be. Sarah Fisher, listen, numbers don't lie. I mean, seriously, numbers don't lie. Sarah took over in 2000, I believe, 18. And at the end of the day, it's about selling and servicing automobiles. And Sarah was able to brand her experience at Don Franklin, and from 18 to 19, literally boosted her dealer group over 3,000 units. Now in 2020, tracking over 5,000 units from when she just started. So that's my big intro, and I'm just gonna shut up. So again, welcome Bob, welcome Sarah. Thank you so much for taking the time to pour into our viewers. Thank you. Awesome.
Thank you for having us.
Awesome, thank you. Bob, I'll let you kick it off. Brother. Give us a recap. Why were you really intrigued about what Sarah has done? I mean, I just want you to kind of just share your thoughts and then launch it from there.
Yeah, thanks for having me again. Looking forward to it. You know, I'll kind of jump into sort of how we got here today. So I had the privilege of getting your and Sarah's PASH event video a day or so early, and as I was watching it, obviously the numbers speak for itself on what Sarah has been able to accomplish at Don Franklin. But what really hit home for me was when you all were talking about, or more importantly, when Sarah was talking about the digital retailing solution and the Fast Pass branding of it. And for those of you that were on it or will have the ability to rewatch it, you'll notice when Sarah starts to talk about it, the first thing she says is we needed to brand it, right? We needed to advertise the experience that one would have. And what I was appreciative and more importantly impressed about it is that's what this is all about, right? Like, and I know you've used this quote from David Kane a number of times, but it does sum it all up, right? Experience is the new brand. In fact, there's a lot of third-party research that states that people are willing to pay a premium, pay more for a vehicle for the right experience, for the right customer service. So you just need to give it to them, but before you give it to them, you need to brand it. So, you know, Sarah is one of the few that I've met in this industry at a dealership level that understands the power of brand and how brand drives direct response or lower funnel metrics, whether that's a click, whether that's a lead, or more importantly nowadays, whether that's a digital retailing experience. So we have a strategy in our playbook called Why Buy Here. It's branding of the dealership. I've got a number of case studies right here ready to talk about after Sarah talks that shows when a dealer runs brand, it actually increases all of those lower funnel metrics that they're looking for. It's all about understanding consumer behavior. And, you know, when we were following up after the PASH event, I was just, I didn't know Sarah at the time, and I was just very impressed. So that's my background and how we got here.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Sarah, listen, I know you can go ahead and start sharing your screen. I know you've got a lot of things for us. Sarah, I'll just take it from there. You know, there's a lot of people that, especially, you know, not every dealership has a CMO. Like myself, for example, you know, I was a pretty decent salesperson, so they put me in the F&I office pretty soon. I'm running a store and you know, wanting to do marketing budgets and ad spend and traditional and non-traditional and digital and all these other things. You know, walk us through, you know, your timeline of how you did what you did there at the Don Franklin Group.
Sure. I think, you know, you have to have a strategy and you have to know how to execute it properly, like we've just been discussing. And branding is one of the ways you can get your message out there in a mass way, right? That you can reach your full target audience in all the different markets. The video is powerful on its own. You can literally be directed. I've always said, like, you know, your message has to be directed to what you want the consumers to do. You know, and keep it simple, right? We've heard that in our entire life when it comes to marketing, is always keep it simple. But it's directive and it's showcasing that experience. It's pulling that emotion out of people. And that's what video and television and, you know, OTT and Facebook, and, you know, like that's what those mediums can do. I'm going to kind of switch a little bit modes here real quick, because when we're talking about advertising, we're talking about effectiveness and media and what media to use and what works where. I think there's some important questions to ask as far as your own business. So I want to kind of dive into this real quick and just ask you a simple question. How many people have searched for your business name in the last 30 days? How many people have searched for your business name in the last 12 months? And how many people have searched for your competitor's name in the last 12 months? So this is a little, this is what we pulled, and this is Google My Business, right? So this is people literally typing in your business name. So this is Don Franklin, right? This is July 2016 through June 2020. I started right about there. But we could see a huge increase from 2017, 18, 19, and now look at 20. You know, I've got a client in Atlanta, Georgia, who we just started, we literally revamped their entire strategy and put their marketing campaign in place April 1, or it may have been like very tail end of March, like March 30th. And they've already seen a 46% increase in searches for their own name, granted, for their own name, month over month. And this is a client that we have in Louisville, and they've seen significant increases. You guys, their name is Don Hauer. That is hard. That is so hard to spell. So the fact that they have seen that big of an increase year over year has been, it's been a huge game changer for them. I just want to get a little bit into this, and I'm going to touch base on this next. I'm not going to talk your off or anything, but I just want to say out there, not all media is created equal. And by saying that, I mean, there are so many agencies, there's so many reps for advertising. There's everybody's coming at you at all different angles every single day. And there's thousands of them. So it's okay, well, everybody's saying they're number one at something, this, that, the other. I need to do this, and TV's dead, and what about, it's all about digital. You have your OEMs preaching you need to do digital. Well, what does that mean to you? And, the difference between TV and OTT is your streaming television. It's not connected TV. It's over the top. So it is literally your big screen TV. And that's one thing that's important to know, is that OTT with your, how it works, and not to make sure when you are doing your audience targeting through it, that it's not just it's not on mobile, because you want it to be on the big screen in order for your campaign to actually work. Television, you all should see the numbers during COVID for television. It was astonishing, the amount of people who were watching television, and actually even your local news. And I work in 15 different markets, and it was the same across all the markets across the United States. But there is a difference. OTT is your streaming. 21% of Americans are cord cutters. That's just 21%. So there's a lot of misconceptions about, no one watches, over the air. No one watches, through cable or DirecTV anymore. That's not true. But cable, you got to know how to utilize cable, and not just do rotators. If you have a schedule that is literally 6 a.m. to midnight, that is not a strategy. That's just, that's not going to be effective for you. Radio, there's times and places to use radio. It typically is a reminder medium. And then digital. There's so many things that fall underneath the digital umbrella. And how to use social media, how to do social retargeting, how to, make sure that you're on social media and sharing your message that you're doing with television, making all your platforms consistent with one another. And then audience targeting is a big, I know everybody's been talking about it, but audience targeting is huge, because you can have your audience targeting campaign and strategy across all the platforms. And then, of course, your paid search and where you fall with that. Now, this is just one, I just wanted to throw this in here, because I know, we've talked about television, we talked about branding, and that, using your commercial space to, really hone in on getting that message out. But I just wanted to say, show this video, or show this clip to you guys real quick. And the website's listed below if you want to check out this article. But it's funny to me, because when everyone's preaching digital, all the OEMs digital, but if you look at the OEMs, they're spending, they have a whole campaign on TV, on Facebook, on cable, and Google, Facebook, Microsoft, Amazon. They are literally the biggest spenders right now in that space, and there's reasons why, because it works and it drives more searches to your website whenever you utilize it correctly. So this is my point. This is what I wanted to get to with this whole conversation, is that you have to bring awareness to your business. And that when you do, let's say a television campaign, right? You have your commercial space, you deliver that message, you create the experience that you want the consumers to know and identify you with. And there's different mediums that work at different places. We, for Don Franklin and for all my clients, television is the best place that we bring the awareness. We have the offer. We have the experience. We let people know what to expect with that particular brand, right? Like with that business. Like this is what you can do, and this is what we will do. You know, your paid search, your social media, like everything works within that interest, and you start building it. It was so funny to me because my brother-in-law, he had looked at a couple of different Ram trucks, and he called me up yesterday and he says, "Would you please quit targeting me?" I was like, "What do you mean?" So he was on Don Franklin's website, found the Ram trucks, and now every single time he pops up Facebook, there's the Ram trucks right in front of his face. But guys, that's how it works. You know, you have to be consistent because it's the same message, it's the same look, it's the same feel on each platform that someone goes on, and you're retargeting them, which draws them down to the action. Because he's coming here this weekend and he's going to be buying a Ram truck, I can assure you. But no, like how your SEO and SEM work like hand in hand. You know, one lifts the other. But let me just tell you, the branding will lift every single thing up. So it's not just starting with the digital, like in the lower part of the funnel. You want to start from the top, because when you do that branding campaign, it lifts all the lower funnel, all of it. Like it lifts everything. So like if you are using third party, if you're using it's on your paid search, like you have that emotional connection with that consumer, and they know you already. So when you have three of your competitors in like on the top three, let's just say paid search on Google, right? You got it's you and then two of your competitors, but they know you because they can relate to you. They've seen you. They have that emotional connection. That's what's going to make you stand out over anyone else. Same thing with AutoTrader. Same thing with Cars.com. Same thing with Car Gurus. You can scroll and scroll and scroll. It's like Zillow, right? I mean, like you're scrolling for homes. You pick on the one that you like. But when it comes to vehicles, you also pick on the name you know, because that you already have that connection, that emotional bond with that business. That's what makes you stand out, and also having that consistent look from your overlays, from your messaging. Everything has to be consistent across the board, and that's what makes everything so successful, from Facebook, social media, to posting your videos, to TV, to, you know, the mediums that you use. No matter if you use print, make sure it looks like your brand, and make sure it has the same message that you're putting on all those other platforms. And your message might change each month. You know, like there's incentive schedules, you have different incentives each month, so the message might change, your theme might change. But just as long as that has that consistency and directiveness, and you do the proper branding campaign, like there's definitely different tweaks and different ways and different strategies that you can use to make sure that it is the most effective. And there, like I said before, like if it's, don't let your agency just do rotators. Don't let them do just like throw it out there and see what sticks. Guys, there's definitely strategies that work for every single market. And there's different mediums that work in different ways in order to drive more sales and more results to your business. Did I go too far?
Sorry, I was muted. I wanted to take all that in, but you know, something cool that you have, and look, there's other dealers. We have other dealers that have, whether it's Fast Lane, Fast Pass, you know, we've got our buddies up in Toledo, Quick Buy. It doesn't matter. It's not necessarily, in fact, I would argue it's not even what your tag is, but what your tag, and keep it consistent. You know, something that I noticed that Sarah did is, again, whether that's OTT, the commercials that she put together during COVID, it all went down to that Fast Pass logo that she and her team created. And every place that you go on Don Franklin's website, no matter what dealership it is, it's branded. If you go on Facebook, it's branded. If you go into the physical store right now, the first thing that you're going to see on the glass doors as you pull them open is Don Franklin Fast Pass. They even went a step further because, listen, I know everybody listening right now, car business is crushing it right now for most people because people aren't flying. They're either servicing their cars or they're buying new cars, and we're running out of inventory. So Sarah took a step further, and it's fast cash, correct?
Franklin Fast Cash.
So right next to, so she's starting to brand Franklin Fast Cash, and they have a process on buying, buying your.
And let me just tell you, Tim.
Yes.
So, we have the KBB Buying Center here as well, but like Shannon Jones has never been able to break 36 vehicles. Like it's uncanny. Like he just never could break it. Guess how many he's bought already this month?
Say that again so everybody understands that.
Okay. So we, created a campaign for the Franklin Fast Cash. We have branded it on television. We obviously have our paid search and social media campaign going, but Shannon Jones, our buyer, he has never been able to break 36. Like he's never been able to buy over 36 vehicles in a month, right?
Right.
From people selling their cars. He's already bought 50.
And we got 10 days left.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is where you just try. I mean, seriously.
I'm telling y'all.
There's something, listen, get in here close. There's some things that aren't debatable anymore. It's not debatable when you take, we talked at DMSC and the new conference that I'm going to be talking about in Colorado. I was talking with my friend Joe Chura. Yeah, he's a competitor, but he's a friend. He's a great guy, at Dealer Inspire. Both Joe and I said, it's not even debatable anymore. Don't come to me with leaving forms off on your website. The numbers, they tell something drastically different. Listen, never been able to, everybody's trying to buy cars right now. And if you go to the sale, that things are bringing out of the book. Everything. I mean, the car that I bought from Don Franklin, by the way, for my son 6 weeks ago, because Sarah and Nick, shout out to Nick, Don Franklin, found this car for me. That same car now is worth $4 or $5 grand more. Throw the book away. If you're not fertilizing and planting your own cars, we could have a whole other conversation about that. But again, branding Fast Pass, branding Fast Cash. We're going to shut up and we're going to turn to the exalted one, as I call him. The exalted one. We're not worthy. The head of, let me say this right, the head of all automotive retail at Facebook, little company out there, anyway, go ahead. You've got some case studies. Do you want to add anything here, Bob? Or are you just looking at, you just staring at us, or what are we going to do?
Well, before I add anything, I'd like to buy a car from Don Franklin if you're already up $4 grand on the car you just bought. So, Sarah, I will be sending you a note here very quickly. I'll buy 15 cars at the moment and park them in my driveway.
The market is shifted, Bob.
Fantastic. I love their model. No, to summarize, what Sarah said is it's called media mix modeling. Okay. And it's simply understanding everything you're buying as it relates to advertising and marketing, everything, right? And not looking at them in a silo, right? I think one of the biggest mindset shifts GMs or dealer principals or whoever's buying media for a dealer can have is say, okay, someone comes in from a specific vendor, they have a great sales pitch, right? The product sounds great, but the first question you should ask is, how does that fit in the model? Like, how will that, because media platforms don't work by themselves, right? They work together. And I love that Sarah, and I did not see the presentation prior, talked about how media affects search, right? We've had this in our presentation for 3 years now because we've run a number of studies that for any product or service that's being advertised on our platform, we'll actually drive SEO and SEM upwards of 30% for that product or service being advertised. But guess who gets the credit for it? Google, right? So when you think in a singular way, you're like, oh, I should spend all my money on Google. Then they do, and then they're like, well, I couldn't spend all my money. Yeah, because you took all of the marketing that drives the Google activity, whether it's TV or OTT, and I came from Hulu, so I love hearing that, right? Whether it's Facebook or whatever the scenario is. So the thing that we always challenge the dealers, and we have a slide, and it's just a circle slide with the middle circle is sales, and everything around it is everything you purchase, including, frankly, I would say the software that you use to drive marketing, whether it's your CRM or equity mining platform. But if there was one takeaway I could get a dealer to say, and I just said this the other day to someone, I said, is understand how your entire media works. Simply map it out. First of all, understand what you're buying. I mean, I can't tell you how many dealers I've said, do you know what you're buying? And I see them pick up their phone and start texting the store, right? Like, it's your second or third largest expense. Like, you should know line item by line item exactly. And then understand at the very least, how does it relate to sales? Forget the form leads, forget the clicks, searches. Like, I spent X, I sold X. At the very least, let's just start there, right? And obviously it gets more sophisticated, don't get me wrong, but start with what you have today, and then you can start playing around with the model. You know, one of the things that we talk about, we've got 223 million people on our platform every month, 171 million a day. That's 18 plus in your marketplace. Again, you know, I appreciate what Sarah said, which is use multiple ad units, use video, use carousels, use static images, use the using multiple different types of ad units resonates better than if you're just sending them one static image every single time. Like, that's lazy, right? So if you run multiple styles, you're going to see a better return. But, you know, one of the things that we've been challenging dealers in the marketplace for probably 2 years is that they could cut their media spend, their existing current media spend 30, 50% and just buy smarter. And by the way, we don't suggest what they buy. Of course, we would love for them to buy more of us, and we can prove out buying more of us at a lesser cost, because we can do that, can help sales. But at the end of the day, if you just look at how your media works together, I would challenge, and I would bet you could probably cut your media spend quite a bit. And, you know, we've had, we have a partner that I worked with here locally in Detroit, where the GM said, I'm in, man. Like, I need to increase gross. And he cut about 40 grand a month in his media spend. Didn't put it all on Facebook, by the way. I couldn't even take all, we're not a one-to-one, right? Like, for every dollar you cut on another media platform, it only costs about 10 cents probably for us to recover that dollar, simply because of the efficiencies that we have. And, we reached almost 50% of his audience, which was just a 15-mile radius. We touched 50% of their sales, meaning we were able to match back a vehicle sold to an ad delivered. And he saved 115 grand for a quarter. Right? It sold the same amount of cars. There was no, we dropped in cars. Yes, many variables and increase. They did increase cars, but I don't necessarily believe it was solely on the media plan, but it definitely played a role. So I guess to summarize, Sarah's chart with the awareness down, like, put everything you buy into a spreadsheet, put the cost next to it, right? So at the very least, understand what you're buying and for how much. Then determine what is the right measurement, because your measurement then defines what you buy, right? And based on what your measurement is, if it's not a good measurement, you're going to incorrectly buy. If it's a measurement that drives profitability, then you're going to work that model to buy differently, or however you choose to do that. So that's actually been our story for quite some time. We believe you could probably cut some spend and still sell the same, if not more. You just have to buy. You got to change the model around.
It requires.
And I think like that too is like all about like audience targeting. Like knowing like which media, like looking at your Google Analytics, looking at your ROI through your CRM, knowing where your customers are coming from, and knowing which mediums will drive more sales out of those target areas. Because guys, like audience targeting with every single platform that you use, that's key. And that's where you can save some money, but that's where your money actually works 10 times harder, right? Like, it's just like, Don Franklin, for example, so they're all over Kentucky. They're in 3 different markets. And just in the Lexington DMA, you got Somerset, London, all these people. But, it's like when you look at the 6 a.m. news, let's just say, right, or the Today Show, like, or the 6 p.m. news, let's just go there, because there's like 85,000 people watching the 6 p.m. news, right, in the 25, 64, but we're not just going off demo, right? You look at through ComScore at the heat maps, and Lexington is dominant with one station, but London is dominant with the other, right? So you got to know those things too. Like, not all DMAs and locations are created equal. Like, you're going to have different people watching in different places at different times. And that's like, and it's very, I think another thing is too, like, people get confused with like the frequency, meaning like number of spots and that kind of thing, or frequency just meaning quantity. And it's not. Like, your quality, it's all about quality, not quantity. And that's where you can get your budget to be as effective as and lean as possible. When you look at all these different metrics, when you look at the measurements, when you look what's really driving your sales. And I agree absolutely with Bob. Like, I mean, you can save money, but you can also, like, don't stop spending money and make your campaign less effective either, because you have to have the right amount.
I've got so I'm going to jump in here. And by the way, if I think we just got a question in, but I just want to remind all our listeners, if you do have a question, please type it in. You know, we had so many questions at DMSC, we did not have time, so we do want to leave some time for questions. But I will tell you, Sarah, that most GMs, most GSMs listening right now that are in charge of ad budgets, let's just be honest. They don't know how to look at a GA account. They don't even know what GA maybe stands for. I'm not ugly. I'm just telling you, we're good salespeople. We got promoted. You know, let's help. Look, I'm from Kentucky, so some Kentucky's going to come out at me. We need to throw the feed where the chickens can get it. Okay. So I'm telling you, this is happening. Bob, you're shaking your head. Now, and Bob is humble, by the way. Bob was part of the founding team. He didn't tell you that. Oh, I used to work for Hulu. He was part of the founding team. He's kind of a big deal. Not sure if his apartment smells like mahogany and old books, but he's a big deal. One of the exactly. So
builder special right here, guys.
There you go. So we got to have fun, right? People got to keep tuning in. That's why it keeps growing, because we have fun, Bob. So we're going to answer these questions, but listen, Sarah, where would you start? You know, hey, look, I was that guy. I never managed the marketing person before, you know, and I've got Auto Trader. Auto Trader was great for me, and you know, alpha ads and you know, preferred listing, all this stuff. Can you give us like a Reader's Digest version? Throw the feed where the chickens could get it, like we say in Kentucky, and really help. You know, where do we start?
Okay, so basically, like when I first started with like I pulled an ROI report. I wanted to see how many cars we were selling from Auto Trader, Cars.com, Car Gurus, you know, because we're spending a boatload of money. And I'm like thinking, you know, like I watch, and no offense to any of the sales reps out there, but they use their acronyms, they use this and that, and dealers don't understand it. But they're also don't want to say they don't understand it, because then they think they're going to get taken advantage of. But an SRP, guys, that's just a search results page. That's literally like open up the yellow pages, and there you are with all the other plumbers, right? Which one are they going to pick? So it's very important. Like merchandising, for one, is the most key part of third party, because on the back end, your dealer's website, and I've said this from day one, if I could take all the money that we spend on third party and put it towards pushing people to our own website, like Google does, like Amazon does, like Facebook does, I would do it in a heartbeat, because they convert much higher, much faster, and they're much more quality leads, and it's less money. Like, seriously, you've got to look at your ROI. Then when you do look at Google Analytics, look at how people are coming in. The reason why we looked at, when I first showed you those slides for who was like actually searching for the Don Franklin name alone, like that's just literally people typing in the name. The reason why is because we look at our direct traffic in Google Analytics. We look at our organic. We look at how people are getting there, right? And there's many more searches than just what was on the Google My Business slide. But we look at, are they coming from Auto Trader? We put UTM codes on everything so we can track to see our audience targeting campaigns that we have, our adjustable geofencing campaigns that we have, if those are working. So driving traffic, because then you can look at those top conversion paths and look how people are coming back to you, and look at all your uniques. Like, that's what you want. You want new users coming to you. You want new people who are in market to buy coming to you. And it's important that you pull different reports through your CRM,
not
whether it be your AI tool.
Not just that vendor,
right,
including us, absolutely.
But make sure that, to your experience of what you want your message to be, is on your website as well. And Tim, that's what we found too. Remember, we put the Franklin Fast Cash on that CTA right there, like we did the service and the Fast Pass. So you know, it's so important to work cohesively, and we're tracking that as well. So you know, it's knowing reporting and knowing how to look at the numbers and knowing how to digest those numbers and then understand it. That's why we have changed our marketing strategy from where they were to what it is now.
So we have a question I want to get to, Brian Toole, which, by the way, Brian Toole is another one of the brightest marketing guys I know. Shout out to you, Brian. He joins Tim Talks every week. In fact, I'd love to connect Brian, you with Sarah. Brian's actually in northern Indiana, but he is doing some amazing things with geofencing that we'll talk about later. We're going to talk about it on another Tim Talk. But this is to Bob or Sarah. Here's the question. We all know that not one medium is responsible for sales. They all work together. This is the question, how do you determine how to weigh the influence of each medium on actual sales? Who wants to take that?
So I actually have a system that I use that actually measures, like, every time a commercial airs, or measures different mediums and how many hits we get to the website within the 8-minute window. And so I'm able to see, like, which creative is, like, working the best, and which is the most effective, and, like, which stations, which, you know, times during the day is actually driving those conversions to our website.
We have another question. Thank you for that. We have another question, and either one of you guys can take this. When comparing different marketing platforms and ROI, how do you attempt to access your potential ROI on TV when it is nearly impossible to track specific buyers without surveys or questionnaires? I know you can't wait to answer this. And this is Donovan. Donovan, again, great to see you, buddy. He's on every week. We've got some really bright guys and gals every single week that are just getting better. Anyway, great stuff. Could you allocate a monetary value to ROI when comparing ROI from TV versus other mediums?
You can, and you have to look at your television you have to look at your Google Analytics with that. You have to look at your direct traffic. You have to look at how many uniques are coming in from just that. And you can measure your paid search. You can see how many people are coming from your paid search versus your direct traffic versus, you know, even how many people have drive-by as an option in your CRM? How many people have referral? How many people have repeat customers? Hold on.
In my CRM, I took drive-by out because everybody and replaced it with too lazy to ask. Just FYI.
Oh. Well, I was like, take out too weak to ask, because if anybody's too weak to ask, your tail doesn't need to be working here.
Too weak to ask. So our great minds think alike. Anyway, that's great stuff.
But yeah, no, I mean, like, you got to look at those drive-bys. You got to look at, like, what your salespeople are putting in for sure. But, like, anytime there's a drive-by or repeat customer, you know, like, we look at those and total those up as well. And we look at the gross from all of that combined. But like I said, like, your television, like, you can't, somebody sees your commercial and you ask them where they saw you, they're going to say Google. 9 times out of 10. 9 times out of 10, they're going to say that because that's the last place they saw you. So asking the consumer throws them off. So that's where you have to look at your analytics and you have to look at the data coming in, because people, it just throws them off. Google, you know, because that's where they went after they saw your spot to search for your website. So just be cognizant of that and know that, like, there's many things that affect it, but also that like we talked about with the branding, it literally lifts all the third parties, all the other platforms that you're using for your marketing campaign.
Listen, guys, we do have to come to a close. I want to let everybody watching know that in all seriousness, you've seen us joke and have a good time, but I know Bob personally, I know Sarah personally, and they are two of the most incredible minds I know in the space, all kidding aside, and two of the most humble people that truly want to help you. You do not be, and I kid about Bob all the time, but I love him. I truly do. And I love Sarah. We've become dear friends because we love, I mean, I'm on the phone. Sarah was the first, I continue to say it. Sarah was the first dealer to call me on March 6th and say, I've got to put an execution plan together. And she crushed it during COVID. And the numbers don't lie. So I want to let you guys know, if you need to reach out to Bob directly, he will be happy to communicate with you and to help you with your ad spend, even setting your pixels, whatever it may be on Facebook. And Sarah as well. She'll be happy to have a free conversation with you, but just to let you know, she does have a marketing agency that falls under the umbrella in a bunch of different markets. And obviously, as long as your dealership is not in direct competition with the Don Franklin Auto Group, we have the ability to, or she would love to, truly just reach out and help you, because the numbers are just, again, they don't lie. Just absolutely fabulous on what we have seen. But I want to, any final thoughts, Bob? Any final thoughts, Sarah, before we end? Bob?
If there's one takeaway, if you're a vendor calling on a dealer, or you are the dealer, you know, before you start selling something, if you're the vendor, and if you're the dealer, before you start buying anything, understand what you're currently doing today. Just at the very least, understand what you're doing, how much you're paying for it, and what the current ROI is. And then you can start making knowledgeable decisions accordingly. But I'll just close. Like, I can't tell you how many GMs and dealer principals, because we have a slide where we ask, do you know what you're buying? Like, do you just know? And I've had a number of GMs and dealer principals come up to me and be like, man, you punched me in the face. Like, I have no idea.
Yeah.
Right? And it's the top expense. So just find that out first, and then you can play around with that model.
Awesome. Thank you, Bob. Sarah?
Yeah, so I agree. You know what you're buying, and don't just buy it just because you like the person. You got to make sure that it is bringing an ROI, and know how everything works together. And I mean, I know Bob and I would be happy to get on the phone with you if anybody needs to talk or has a question or wants us to even just look at the plan that you currently have. You know, I am passionate about what I do, and I love what I do, and I just want, you know, everybody to literally, like, make sure every single dollar is working in the right way for you and bringing in those results. So
that's amazing. Thank you. One last idea. I've shared this before, but just to give you an idea, you know, Kentucky was one of the many dealers that you actually couldn't take up. So Sarah, that's her office there, in Lexington that she's in, and she called me and she said, Tim, she said, it's killing me right now. I got people all over the lot and we can't go talk to them. What can we do? She said, what if we put real estate signs up and text? These are just ideas. How we always say, get better together. Now I know there's more than a dozen dealerships that have done that same thing from that same idea. Text enable a number, put it inside. Listen, you need help, you want to work your deal? And they started, did they or did they not, started working their deal from their phone from the lot. And they ended up well over, you know, right during COVID, I think it was 120 or whatever % of objective year over year, quarter over quarter. And 6 months of that quarter, salespeople weren't even allowed to take us. Numbers don't lie. Listen, Sarah, thank you so much. Bob, thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Holly Ann, would you put their contact information up one more time, just so as people are falling off? I just want to make sure. Bob, how does someone get a hold of you if they need to get a hold of you? Here is Sarah's email address, or her website, legitmarketinggroup.com. Bob, how does somebody get a hold of you? Just go. You want them to go through me, or what do you want?
The easiest way is to go through LinkedIn. You know, our small team covers the entire industry.
Right.
So I am challenged on time to get with individuals.
Right.
I will get with you through LinkedIn, and if you have issues, I will navigate accordingly.
Awesome. Listen, guys, thank you so much. Remember, listen, no one's smarter than everyone. Let's continue to get better together. God bless you guys. Thank you so much, and we will see you Tuesday for our next Tim Talk. Thank you.